Hi class, let's take a look at Excel Module 5 and the textbook project. And that project should help us get ready for the Module 5 lab and the SAM project, as well as the quiz. So I'm going to start on Canvas here, and I need to open the Excel textbook. So I'm going to open that. And I'm going to go to Module 5. Module 5 has a lot of objectives for us. We're going to be looking at setting up our worksheets and notebook with a theme and doing some formatting, working with some date functions, different styles, and then looking at copying things from one worksheet to another, referencing cells across worksheets from one to another, and looking at some pie charts. So that should be fun. At some point, we'll hit a breaking point, and I'll stop this video and go on to another one. Try to label them in YouTube as to what their starting and ending points are. So if you don't need help with a specific area, you can skip that video. Now I want to go back to Canvas to our module and see if there was a starting data file. I see that there's readings and there is the lecture, which would be the PowerPoint, and there is a module 5 Excel file, so I'm going to download that. Now when you download it, make sure you save it to a good location where you can find it again. I'll save mine into my documents folder, and in my documents folder I have a CIS201 folder, and I'll create a new folder for summer 19. Now I'm going to save this worksheet with that name, knowing that I might need to name it something different as I go through the instructions in the book. Okay, so I'm going to have my instructions off to the side. I do have 2 monitors, so I'm going to move those instructions over where you can't really see them. Let's see, I think I can do another display. Let's see, and this to the other screen. Oh. All right. So now I'm going to have these instructions here on this screen. Like something you might be able to see. And I'll have sheet open. Now when I open this worksheet, since I've downloaded it, I do have to enable editing. And it's reminding me that there are available updates for Office. I'm going to close that message. I don't want to update right at this moment. Now I'm going to check my video again, and it looks like you should be seeing the chapter in the small window and the Excel spreadsheet in the larger window. Okay, so let's see what we're going to do here. I'm going to look at the beginning of the chapter, and it says this project is going to follow proper design guidelines, and we're going to create a consolidated expenses worksheet, which means we're going to be looking at all of these expenses for 3 different small venues. These venues show concerts and shows, and each of our venues seats approximately 1,000 people. We want to do some projections, like what our consolidated expenses would be for the next 2 years. Now remember, consolidated would be all 3 of those venues combined. But we'd also like to have separate worksheets for each of the venues. Now our first worksheet is going to be showing the actual expenses for 2017, the projected percentage change, and the resulting expenses that are projected for 2018 and 19. And then the 2017 expenses consolidated from the 3 venues will be highlighted in a 3D part. Okay, so this is kind of what our final product is going to look like. So we want to get started here. We have all of our different venues, 12-tone, Dual Theater, Duran, or something like, no, Durant, Truman, and Stage Xanadu. So we have our different procedures. All right. So our needs assessment here is that we want to create a workbook that contains 3 worksheets, one for each of our venues. One worksheet to consolidate the expenses and a pie chart. Each worksheet should be identical in structure and allow for the display of the current expenses and the projected expenses for the next 2 years. We want to print these worksheets with a common header and footer, and the chart should show the 2017 consolidated expenses and draw attention to the largest expense after payroll. Now our data source is going to be our concert venue, and the calculations are outlined for us here. So we'll see those again as we go through our instruction. So here's sort of a mock-up of what we think that our spreadsheet is going to look like. We're going to have something like this for each of the venues, and so that's what gets set up here. So the first thing we want to do is create our worksheet. We've got one here that's a little bit of a start for us. And see, this just doesn't seem like a good start for us. I'm going to open a new spreadsheet because this isn't looking like our venue thing at all. This might be what you need for your SAM project. We shall see. So let's create a new one. And I want a new blank workbook. And I'm going to save this as, I believe I'll name this Module 3 Textbook Project. Now I'd like to apply a theme to this project. So I'm going to go to the page layout tab, and on the page layout I can find themes. They'd like us to use the mesh theme. That doesn't group. There it is. It's kind of a gray theme, so that will work. Now we want to do some formatting. They would like us to drag the bottom boundary of row heading 4 down until the row height is 51. So 51 or 68 pixels. Oh, look. There we go. Now to do that, I moved my mouse pointer to the line between row 3 and 4 till I got the double-headed mouse pointer, remember? And I clicked my mouse button and held it, and then I was able to drag that row down so that it became wider. Now we want to drag our column boundary for column heading A to the right until it is 18. Can I type it? No, I can't. But I got it. Oof. Now, if you look, we should be able to see some information about width and height and things like that. They want us to use these drag items for right now. Now we want to do something for column B. So I'm going to click in the column B cell here, B1, and I want to do a shift click all the way to column G so that I select all of those cells together. Now we want to drag the right boundary of column heading G to 12 pixels. Right about, so close. Now that I've got that set, we should be able to deselect all of those, but mine didn't do it the way they said, because they said it would change the width of all of the columns. It's not. I'm going to click and shift click, and I'm going to hold the shift key while I'm changing this size. Nope, that doesn't matter either. So maybe I should have selected the whole thing. Let's try this. And I'm going to shift click now. Oh, look at that being so much better. We always just have to try things, don't we? Now are we at 12? A little too big. I'm going to go back to 12. Okay, so got a little bit of pause there, didn't we? What I had done is I just selected one cell, and when I went across and selected multiple columns of, when I resized the G column, it didn't resize the other selected columns. So what I needed to do is select the entire column and then resize. And that resized the multiple they wanted us to. All right, so now all of our formatting here at the beginning should be correct the way they want. So we want to click in cell A1 and we want to type 12-tone concert venues, and then click cell A2 or press the down arrow and type consolidated expenses worksheet, and then press the down arrow key twice to go down to cell A4. We want cell A4 to say expense category, and then click in cell A5 to enter our column heading. So beginning in A5, we're going to have the payroll column, then the benefits column, then security, rent, utilities, and I'm just pressing the sideways arrow key, maintenance, advertising, And finally, administrative. My H column to be same width as the other. All right. Now I've got all my column headings here. So as I move along in my instructions, it says the following steps enter the column title in row 4. So remember that multi-line I'm looking at what we're supposed to have here. Oh, these should have gone down. So let's do that. Copy. And then I want to paste. But I want to transpose those things because they're in the wrong place. Oh, and then I can delete these original ones. So we wanted all of these expenses going down. I made them go over. All right. Now we want cell B4. And in cell B4, we want to type 2017. And then select C4. And in C4, we want to enter our column heading. So this one is going to say 2018 projected percent change. Then 2018, then 2019 projected percent change. And then in F4, we want just 2019. Now G4 would say average percent changed. Now, in some previous modules, of course, we've got some headings to fix. Don't worry about that right now. In our previous modules, in first Excel modules, we saw how we could use the fill handle to create numeric entries like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in a series. So by entering the first two numbers in a series, we saw that Excel determined the increment amount and filled the cells accordingly. Well, we have some other kinds of series, and they're pretty handy. We have a date series, an autofill series, our linear series like we've seen before, and a growth series that multiplies values by a constant factor. For these series, you can use the fill button in the series dialog. Now remember, if you're using a touchscreen, things could be a little bit different. But let's create a linear series. What we want to do is use our 2017 data as a sample, and we're going to use that data to project our projected change values. Why? This sample data creates a placeholder content and assists us in the layout. Consolidate. Now let's use the fill handle to create this series of integers in column B. Normally, you would enter the first two numbers in a series so that Excel could determine the increment amount. However, if your series is incremented by 1, you don't have to enter two numbers. You can control drag the fill handle to increment by 1 across cells. Now, if you want to increment by a different value, you can use the series dialog. In the series dialog box, you can choose to increment by any step value, including positive and negative decimals, again by entering only a single value. So let's look at this the way we need to do it for our example. let's select cell B5, our payroll amount here for 2017. We want to type a 1 and then click the enter button in the formula bar. Enter first value in this series. My first value in the series. Now we want to press Control and drag the fill handle down through cell B12. So we have our fill amount here set as 1, and I'm going to press the Control key and grab my corner here, my fill bar, and drag this down. Increment automatically 1. Magic. Now, what do you do if you're using a touch screen? Check the answer here. They say press and hold the selected cell to display the mini toolbar. Tap Autofill on the mini toolbar and then drag the Autofill icon. Now, what if you didn't use the Control key? They'd all be filled with the number 1 because we didn't give Excel a series there, so we could have typed the number 2 too, and then we could have drag it down. So either way. Now let's select cell C5. And we want to go to the Home tab. Oops, I went to the File tab, didn't I? Now on our Home tab, we're going to be using the Fill Gallery. So let's start out by selecting cell C5, which we have here, and then typing 2%. Now I want to select the range C5, where we are, through C12. Just clicked out of there and then selected them. And then I want to click the Fill button to display the Fill Gallery. Since we want to do a series, let's try our series. Now the series that we want for our step value here is going to be 0.021. Now we're just generating some random placeholder numbers. You could use any increment step, but since this column will eventually be percentages, the decimal is probably our best value, so that's going to be 2%. So there we go. And fill that up with the series there. Now let's make this display 2 decimal places. So we'll push our number button. Okay. There we go. I was going the wrong direction. Sorry about that. I'd like to make you feel smart. Okay, now we want to do the same thing. So we're going to do this for our next series. So let's repeat these steps for our E. So we want to start out with 3%. Select range. We want to do a fill series. We want our step value to be 0.01. And then we want number of decimal being displayed. Now they do talk about some other ways of doing that in the textbook. We can do some things with our dates. creating all sorts of great things. Round data and use wonderful functions like today. So let's try them. First of all, on our spreadsheet, we'd like to add in today's date. So we're going to put that in G3. So right here in G3, I'd like to use a function. I'm going to click the function. Come on. What I would like to use is the today function. It would be a date and time function. There's today. So I'd like to include the current date. Click OK. Today function. As this returns the current date as a date. Yep, that's what I want. Perfect. Now they'd like us to format this date a little bit different. So I'm going to right click on that and choose format cells. Now I want to change the way my number is formatted, the date, and it wants us to use the date like this, 14 March 12th. Fancy little layout there. Why do we want to do that? Well, we could end up with a bunch of numbers displayed if it doesn't fit in our cell. So they're saying sometimes we like to use words so we know we're looking at the right date. So there's other ways that we could add that information in. Our date is pretty handy to use today. Now sometimes when we're doing a formula, a math formula, we would like to round the results of the formula up to a certain number so that we are looking at, not a never-ending number of decimal places. So we want to kind of set up our formula in a way that takes care of that. So let's start that out with our 2018 payroll formula. Let's click in that cell and we want to set up formula here. So we'll start, of course, with our equal sign and we want to use the round function. Now what we want to round is the data that could be found at cell B5 and we want to add that to itself. And then we want to multiply C5 and then we want to round to 2 decimals. Now we see the correct results of our formula. So let's drag that down so that we've repeated that for all of our 2018 cells. Now for our 2019 formula, type the equal sign to enter it. And the formula is going to be again a round of the data at D5 plus D5 times E5 with 2 digits. Again, we'll drag that down. Gives us a nice formula. Now for our average percent changed, get that formula in. Now we're going to do an embedded formula. So we have 2 opening parentheses and we want C5 plus E5 close parenthesis, divided by 2, and we would like 4 decimal places on that formula. Now I'm going to, again, copy that down. I want to make a small formatting change. Select all of these headings and choose Wrap Text so that you can see all our text. And we're about ready to make some songs here for each of our columns. So let's start out with selecting cell B13. And with B13, we want to click the sum button. And yes, we want to sum those. That's perfect. Oops, not exactly, is it? I don't want this one. Oops. B. Now it says that this formula omits adjacent cells. Well, we know that. That's because that's our heading. So let's ignore that. And let's do D13. We want to do a sum. And again, we want to start at D5 to D12. And we want to do the same thing for F13. We want to make it a sum of the cells above it. Numeric. Now they would like us to save this. And I'm just going to click Save. They recommend the name Venues. I'll leave that up to you. Now in our text, they say that this is a good breakpoint, and I think I agree with them. So I'm going to stop that video here, and we'll pick it up in our next video. Thank you.